don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, we more focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the blue heart let this last. I don't know if you were this painted blue.
That was Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. March 1st, 2021. This is the first day of Women's History Month. I think I have the perfect guest, EZ Bluez. Her name is Zulynette. She creates experiences for people who need healing and brave self-expression. She's a social worker who uses words, visuals, and performance as transformational tools. Zulynette, welcome to the show. I know you caught me.
Hi, y'all. Thanks for having me on. You know I'm gonna correct you. It's okay. You got it right the second time. Thanks for having me on.
This is awesome.
Absolutely. And it's great to know you. I've known you for so long. I think it's been over a decade now. And I just want to know, man, I know you've been telling me this numerous times before. I just want you to tell our audience, when did the entrepreneurial bug hit you, or bite you, I should say?
It started in 2000 and I want to say maybe 15. I was invited. I'd been performing poetry since 2010, 2011. So I was hitting every open mic in Connecticut that I could. And in 2015-ish, someone invited me to go perform down at James Madison University in Virginia. And I was like, whoa. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you like $400, which now I know is a ripoff. But anyway, but yeah, I went down and we took this little van and I stayed at a pretty swanky hotel for the stay. And I was like, wow, this can be a thing. And so I think that's where it started for me. That's probably what planted the seed for poetry. And then for art, I was invited to perform poetry at this community event for a political prisoner to free him. And I was like, could I bring art just because I'd never shown my art publicly before? To myself. And somebody there, so a woman there saw it displayed on stage, and she comes up behind me and she whispers, how much is that painting? And I was like, what? That wasn't the goal here. I just came to perform and show y'all that I do stuff. And I sold my first painting then. And I want to say that was probably also around 2015. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this could be a thing. So that's probably where it started. And then from there, I started to see more and more people that were doing something creative full time. And that was their job and that was their 9 to 5. So it opened up the possibility for me that could be my calling and could be something that sustains me because I mean, the term starving artist is ingrained in all of us. We learned that long before we learned entrepreneurship or a full-time artist. We first learned starving artist as a phrase. So yeah, that's where it started.
So you haven't had it for about 6 years.
I've had plenty of work since 2016. Is the correct way to say that. I have been living my passion and my purpose plenty since 2006. Yeah.
That is incredibly better wording, Zuli. And I gotta tell you, man, your paintings are so beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, y'all are actually seeing the newest one back here.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, do I go and grab? Oh, also full disclosure, my partner is gonna come in here with food because bio needs are real, and my social work self does say that you need to attend to your bio needs. So I'm gonna eat, or at least the food is gonna be here. Social workers in your life, please. I recommend that to everybody. Get a social worker in your life. Yeah, you know what? Here, let's take a trip so y'all can see it.
Yay.
You ever take a field trip in the middle of your interviews?
Actually,
this is our first field trip.
Had on the show. So
yes,
that looks amazing.
That is awesome. Wow.
Now, Zulynette, please tell me the meaning behind this picture.
So it started with this drawing. So last year, for the whole year, I decided to give myself a personal challenge called the 366 challenge, where I made a drawing every single day of the year.
Yeah.
It was a doozy, but I did it. And one of the drawings is actually so that painting came from this drawing.
Hmm.
Oh, awesome.
I was looking, thank you. I was just looking through some of the drawings to see which one was calling to become a painting. And I made that on Friday. And I was just like, I need to take a day to myself to create for myself, because being an entrepreneur means you're kind of doing it all.
Yeah.
All the back end stuff that people don't see. What they see is the final product. They see the painting, or they see my performance, or they see the workshop. They don't see all the other stuff that goes on. So every once in a while, I'm like, I need to get back to the thing. And the thing is like the creating of the thing. So yeah, on Friday, I was like, let me look through all these drawings that I did from last year, and I still have about 300 still on hand. So I sold a few, but I also have a lot left. And that one is the one that really stood out to me, because when I look at it, to me, it signifies kind of getting out of your head, because there is literally no head, and just getting back into the body and feeling connected, feeling grounded, being in a more like meditative state. And for me, art, poetry, when I'm in the creation of the thing, when I'm in the flow of the thing, that's home to me. That's being grounded to me. So yeah, so that came about.
How you manage all this time with the art and poetry and just networking with different people, because like you're all over the place, but you just calm and collected about it.
Well, one, I quit working for somebody else, so
There you
that
go.
really helped.
That's the first step.
That was probably I stopped letting somebody else's stress become my stress.
Mhm.
Oh. So that was probably the biggest thing I did for myself. Also, I don't know that I have anything that's formulaic. I try different things.
Mhm.
So one thing that I try on, or that I experiment with, is I dedicate every day is dedicated to a different task, and that task is given like an hour and a half. So Mondays, so today is like recording day, recording podcast episodes, recording poetry videos, poetry audio, etc. Tuesdays are for networking and researching, like what opportunities are out there, what fellowships are out there, et cetera, et cetera. Wednesdays are for marketing, and so on and so forth. So I try to remain in that sort of structure and be like, I can't do everything all the time, but I can
Right.
chip away at things over time if I become disciplined about it. And I'm not at 100% disciplined with it, but man, I'm trying. And I'm always gonna try is the thing. So,
Yeah, honestly, this might be the earliest in an episode I'm going to say this, but for all those that are driving and are trying to become entrepreneurs, I want you to pull over to the side of the road, take out your piece of paper and write that down. That's right there. Absolutely incredible fundamentals when going through one, understanding your limitation, and then working to your strength. That is by far, I go back, rewind it. It's on on Facebook now. You can go skip back a couple of seconds and then just come back. We'll still be here, but it'll be fun. But that was so important. Like people need to like put that on loop, like make that a TikTok or something and just watch it all day.
Yeah, I'll very much own up to the fact that a few years ago, I wouldn't have said anything like that. I was very anti-discipline. I was very like, no, I'm an artist. I just go with the flow. And it's like, no, that's not. If you want to build something, you don't just throw a pile of bricks at the ground and be like, make a house. You intentionally put things together piece by piece. And it could take you 10 years to build a house. It could take you a year and a half to build the house, but the point is to lay the bricks down. And so, yeah, discipline, I can't, I know how important it is, and it is something that I am still actively working on, but give yourself that time. Also, it's a way of you honoring yourself, honoring your time, and honoring your craft. If you become disciplined with it, it's not you insulting it. It's not you saying, uh, that you only wait for the flow, or you only wait for inspiration. I think being disciplined about it, or being ritualistic about it, is going to do nothing but help you with it in the long run.
Wow. Zulynette, you said $400 was a ripoff going to Virginia.
Mhm.
When did you know your true value when it came to going to events, paintings, and just other stuff, just go with your merchandise?
Mm. Um, it's something that I'm still learning along the way.
Okay.
Um, something that helped me was I actually have a podcast episode about this. It's called Finding Your Flow, and it's because of this person named Flo who saw me perform at an event I had volunteered for. Happily so, still would volunteer for it again because it was for the babies, for the queer babies specifically. And
Right.
so they saw me perform and they invited me to perform at UConn for National Coming Out Day.
Mm.
And they were like, how much would you charge? And this was in 2016. This was a few months after I quit my job.
Mm.
And I was like, because if I overpriced, you're not going to pay me, or you're going to say no. And if I value myself, you're going to say yes with the quickness. And then I'm going to feel like I compromised on something that is
Mhm.
now my bread and butter, is now where I'm in the position where it has to pay me.
Right.
And so I was like, I don't know. I like dropping numbers. I don't care, because that's also important. The way that we've been conditioned to not talk about pay also is very problematic. Anyway, I think I said that I would perform for like $400 because
Mhm.
that was what I was paid for Virginia.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, that's a big one. It was a university, so I was like, that's how I was making my comparison.
Right.
And they were like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna get you $1,500. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it made the
What?
mouth drop, huh? Yeah.
I said, what?
Big
And
pause
they're
after
like,
that.
and they said, you should ask for more from especially from larger institutions.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be a scale, right? Like community organizations may not have it, but if you're going to a university, if you're going to a corporation, you better ask for that money.
Absolutely.
And they said if I got it, you got it. We got to look out
Mhm.
for each other. And since then, I just have carried that with me forever and always. Like if I have it, that means you have it. If
Right.
I'm getting put on with a big project and I'm able to pay you somehow, or I'm able to bring in the people that I know that are geniuses in my community, like I'm
Mhm.
going to do that because we are supposed to look out for each other. That was one of the things that always sticks out in my mind in terms of valuing my work and my
Now, you were born in Chicago.
was I was.
What
Yeah.
brought you over here to Connecticut?
My family is very matriarchal, with my grandmother in particular. So wherever she moved, we moved. So when my grandparents dipped out of Chicago and moved to Brooklyn, oh look, that's where we were. when they left Brooklyn and somehow ended up, I don't know how anybody ends up in Hartford, Connecticut. But they ended up in Hartford, Connecticut. So that's where we were. So we moved around a lot because of that. And also, my stepfather at the time was a truck driver for Beacons. So, Beacons. Yeah, so sometimes he would travel somewhere and be like, this is cool. And that's where we were. So,
Right.
yeah, I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in Brooklyn, I've lived in Philly, I've lived in
Oh my God.
Westfield, Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts, Daytona Beach, Florida, Hartford, New Britain. Yeah, we've moved around a lot.
And now the Elm City.
And now I am in New Haven, Connecticut.
Welcome.
It's really great to have you here. It really is great to have you. I remember when you texted me, I think a couple months ago. Actually, it was around Christmas time. You texted me like, "Yo, I'm in New Haven now." I was just, it was. I dropped my phone. I literally dropped my phone because I never would have figured you would come down here, and it was just a blessing just to see you. And I remember we were talking. At least I think it was around January or February. We were just vibing, and we were just talking about just mental therapy and just going back and forth. And it was just a great conversation. It was just so intense. A lot of stuff I really can't say on terrestrial radio. But, nothing bad, Easy. Nothing bad. I already saw the mouth drop. But it was very, very spiritual. If I can pay Zulynette to be my therapist, I definitely would, because she brought me in a great mental space. And just for her to get there and just learn about your story, even about you just coming out, even about you just not being afraid to let people know who you are. That's a big step. That really is a big step. And I love the fact that you were always talking about the youth. How can you or not afraid to open up
Mm.
that box no matter what's going on? That was just your mindset. How important and how impactful your mission generation.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I have no reply to that whatsoever. I'm just gonna sit and like savor
Scene.
that. So thank you.
Welcome, man. That's just our point of view of you. You're welcome.
No. I'll give a little something for that. Yeah, the job that I used to have, the work that I used to do was it's called participatory action research, which is very different than the typical research we're used to, where somebody kind of helicopters into a community, does research, says this is what I think your problem is and how you should solve it, and then they leave.
Right.
Participatory action research takes community members and it says, it takes the approach of you're the expert here because you live here, you experience the things here, and so they are involved in the research process from beginning to end, on choosing the topic, on learning how to do research, how to do data analysis, how to present it, and how to do something creative with research results when it's done. So it could be a mural, it could be a traveling exhibit, it could be whatever. And who I worked with, I was there on and off for about a decade of my life. It was actually the first job I had when I was a teen. And so I stayed in touch with them. And once I got my master's degree, they're like, yeah, we got a full-time job for you. I'm like, swag. But I worked with youth. Who I worked with the most were middle schoolers and high schoolers. They are a wealth of knowledge, and they have shaped, they are also part of the reason why I did leave that job to pursue my passion full time, because I very much felt like a hypocrite in front of them, telling them that they could do whatever they wanted to, and I wasn't. We had a lot of moments of frustration where they were like, why are we doing this when nobody is listening to us, when nobody is doing anything with all this hard work that we are putting in, and people still don't believe us.
Zulynette, hold that thought, because you're with us right now on Behind the Brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and live from Daddy Butter TV studios, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. Zulynette, please continue. Sorry about that.
That was actually a great stopping point. Like that was it.
tried.
That was the tweet. That was like 8 tweets, but that was the tweet. Yeah, so I mean, working with youth has really impacted how important it is for me to advocate on their behalf, that they be involved in things, that they be taught, that they not be punished, that they be heard, that they be invested in. Also because we were all kids at one point, we were all teens at one point, and it's like,
And told none of that.
why do we forget that?
And we were told none of that. Like we were told, just keep pushing, it'll get better, just get that degree, just go and do this, just so you can get that job, make sure you look like this, don't say that, don't go that way, with no real reasons why not. And that's it cripples. Like, why does our society have so much anxiety?
Well,
you did it to us. Not only that, but then you said, hey, by the way, put on $7.25 an hour. So,
that part.
yeah.
It's really magical when I get to be in a room with youth and I'm facilitating a workshop, and I say something like, hey, your story matters here, and I don't want to hear anything but your story. I don't care how it sounds. Oh, and then the biggie is, I don't care if you curse. And they're like, what? And you know what happens 9 times out of 10? They don't even curse.
No, I don't do it at all.
Just allowing them that room to breathe. They're just like, oh, okay, like I could just be. I can just exist. I'm not grading you. I'm not taking any of this with you. Like, sometimes I have students that don't even write, but they'll express, and they're still engaged, and they're still listening, and they're still like holding space for the other students around them. And I'm like, that's really the most important part of this. Social work is grounded in healing communities and making communities better. I don't care if you write the poem, not really. I don't care if you make the art, not really. I care that you're connecting with each other. I care that you are listening to each other. I care that you are empathizing with other human beings in a room, because that's really what's important in the long run if you want to make change in the world. And God, the world needs change. So that's what matters to me the most.
That's awesome. And you weren't referring to the 25 cents at the end of the $7. I was just saying, if change is necessary, just not that change.
Not that change. I also want my students to get paid if this is the road that they take.
Same. Add another $7.50. Let's go about our day.
Who do you look for encouragement, Zulynette?
Oh, definitely my closest peeps look to for encouragement. Definitely talking to the ancestors, I look for encouragement. So meditating, praying, all that good stuff. Where else do I find encouragement? Sometimes it's a good Oprah video. Sometimes it's some good Brene Brown. Sometimes it's a good rap song. Sometimes it's Meg the Stallion. Sometimes it's Big Pun. Sometimes it's Jay-Z. Sometimes it's I don't know. Sometimes it's just going. I also journal a lot, so sometimes it's going through those things and seeing things that I've written in the past and being like, oh, I'm either where I wanted to be, I'm where I never thought I would be, or I leave myself like little encouraging nuggets of knowledge. I have like paper calendars because I don't want my calendar to be on my phone. And at the top of every month, I write something that's like kind of the message for the month. And
oh, that's cool.
I was doing my taxes, boo taxes. I was doing my taxes and I was looking through some of my old calendars to like line up dates and stuff. And one of the things I wrote on this past year was something like, it had to do with discipline. I was like, get more disciplined about your work because you deserve it. And I was like, thanks, Zulynette. You're the best. So things like that. Yeah. I go for like my immediate, for the most part, though, I go for my immediate circle for sure. For encouragement.
See, this is what I think is absolutely amazing, because I love everything that you're saying, but what I really, really dig about this is everything you say to the youth, you're living. You say, you do these things not to have them right, but to build community. And when you're struggling, you go back and you rely on the community in which you built.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like, that is like people, and I was probably someone who suffered from it the most. I still have severe trust issues, imposter syndrome, the whole 9 yards. It's amazing. I'm a Russian roulette of so it was very difficult for me, and it took like a community that refused to let me leave to really to really get me to go, okay, well then maybe I can trust them with, like, say, watering my plants while I'm away. That's about as far as it's gotten. And shout out to Elm City Vineyard, they're awesome. But we're getting there. We I liked it better when I just stood in the back and tried to take a nap because my kids were like hanging out. But it's different now. I'm moving forward. I'm growing slowly because I'm old. But it happens.
That's beautiful. And it is those small steps that sort of have a ripple effect, and they have a huge impact. Letting somebody water your plants is a huge thing. Like, those are plant babies. They matter. So even entrusting somebody to water that. Also, what a beautiful metaphor. Like, that was very poetic, Dustin.
Well, okay. Well, in full disclosure, they're plastic plants. I just wanted them to come over.
I love it. But it is very brave to, one, recognize what it is that we've been conditioned to feel like. I mean, that's how it is. Like, that's what this nation is. It's very like hyper dependent. Don't trust anybody. Only look out for yourself. Only look out for your own success. And so it takes a lot to recognize that, and then it's very brave to challenge that. To be like, no, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna keep trying. And it can be as small as somebody like, can you water my plant? and it's a step in the right direction, because it's never going to feel awful to trust people. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but once you're working at it,
Make sure you put that disclaimer there. Because people are like,
and also like, and I know that too, because it's like, I'm not at 100 either. I don't know what that feels. So I don't even always know what it is that I'm working towards, but I know that it feels good / scary / horrible / confusing to work toward the thing. But it's something that feels in my gut like it matters to me, and I'm gonna listen to that.
How much does your podcast matter to you? How did everything just come organically with the whole entire thing? Because it's beautiful what you did. I remember an episode I listened to when you had Chad Brown Springer, and you were just going out, and it felt like you were outside at the campfire. And it was crazy because you just told me all you had was your iPhone. It felt like you had the mic. You guys were just sitting down. You had all the equipment out there, and it's just crazy how these phone apps work, because they work just like your live studio. So it's insane and easy. I see a thought coming out.
Yes. No. Before you go into that, I just want to say, and I want to celebrate my brother here. That was an amazing transition. That was absolutely beautiful. And I want to give you props for that. Great job. Great job. Okay.
And great job for the podcast. Please tell the audience about your podcast, where to get it. And just tell me a whole bunch about it and what inspired you to do it. Really great.
So my podcast is called The Creative Alchemist, and I'm obsessed with alchemy, alchemists, anything that is about transformation. I'm like, yeah, give me that. I blame it all on the X-Men and Sailor Moon. So there's that. That's the root of that. But yeah, I had noodled on it for a couple of years before I started the podcast, because I was like, I'm not sure that I have anything to say. Yeah. And at the same time, I was looking for information around how to be a full-time artist and entrepreneur, around how do I make this work, around what books should I read. I can find inspiration and motivation anywhere. And sometimes that had nothing to do with art, but I'm like, I need something more practical. I need more how-tos, and I can't find it anywhere. I can't find a source for it anywhere. So eventually, like a lot of things, it's like, if I can't find it, I'm gonna create it. So I started in 2018, and I was like, I don't know diddly squat about podcasting. Also, full disclosure, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts either. So I was like, I'm just starting from ground zero. I know that I want to say a thing. And I also know that I know a lot of really rad creatives. So I want to talk with them too, because I don't want it to just be about being a visual artist or a poet. I want to talk to other creatives and learn about what they do and how they make it work, whether it is full-time or part-time or a hobby that they do every fourth Saturday of the month. I don't care. And also, because this started when I was in Hartford, I was like, I want to also big up the people that I know in Hartford, because I can't tell you how often I hear people like, nobody supports anybody in Connecticut. And I'm like, you just have the wrong circle. Just go find the right circle.
For real.
I could have made it for the last 5 years and not had support in Connecticut. So like, that's not it. So I digress. That's for the next episode that I'm with y'all, because this is only part 1.
Love it how you teased it. Bravo to you with that one.
I also love that how you just reinforced that you were going to get booked again. That's amazing. Like that's owning it. You're like, there'll be a part 2. I'm coming back.
Yeah, for sure. Look out for that, y'all. So, yeah, so I started it, and I was like, I can't at the moment. I'm like, I can't afford a mic and to buy software, and I was like, the thing was, I leapt into it, because if not, I would have tried to like over prepare for it and then never started. So I was like, let me just use my phone. I have a recording app on here. That's nice. And then I used the Anchor, the app It's a podcast app.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, I can record the thing and then upload the thing, and okay, we have a podcast episode now. So that's sort of where it started from. It was that lack of information. It was that lack of love for folks in Hartford. It was that lack of identifying the people in our communities as geniuses, which they are, and yeah, and that lack of information, that practical information, like, again, what are the apps, what are the books, what goes into a contract, walk me through the thing. Do it, but you need to walk me through it. And so I was like, this information just needs to be out there. So that's how that started. It was 2018, maybe. We're going on 3 years that the podcast has existed. So
That's awesome.
And 3 years goes by so fast. And I think, yeah. And within those 3 years, you talked about good immediate circles. Talk about which immediate circle got you with the opportunity to work with, and still work with to this day, I believe, Long Wharf Theater, a great institution we have here at the Elm City. Please tell me about that.
Another good one.
you don't know this, but it was actually you, Preston.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know anybody. How me?
I'll tell you. So a few years ago, you invited me to perform at, is it called Cheney Hall?
Oh, Lyric Hall.
Lyric Hall. Thank you. You invited me to perform at Lyric Hall. Yes. And there I met Luciana from Nasty Women, Connecticut. Luciana invited me to perform at an event that Long Wharf was hosting. It was an after party for a play that they had. And Luciana was the one that kind of recruited me in to perform. And so from there, Long Wharf staff, they saw me perform. I killed it. And then they invited me to do an event, and they did it in such a way where it was like, we have this budget, do what you want with it. And I was like, oh, wait, they approached me in December and they were like, we'd love it if this was like early February. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do something. I'll get something together. And I did. So it was you, Preston. You got me to Long Wharf Theater.
You're welcome.
And that's the stuff that I love to remember too. Like, I don't believe anybody when they say that they did something on their own. It's not, that ain't it. That's not it. If you have a customer, you're literally not doing it on your own. If you have people viewing your stuff on social media, you're not doing it on your own. You are not doing anything on your own. Sorry to tell you, Scooter, but you're not. So like, so you got me to Long Wharf. And so what happened was 2019. Yeah. 2020, beginning of 2020. We've been living 30 years in the last year, so I sometimes lose time. Yeah, I put together this event called The Vision, and to talk about, first of all, pun 2020, because I'm a dork, and also talking about, it was also to talk about like what was important in a community, who it is that we bring together, who it is that we put on stage, and what are the elements that we want in a room. So I didn't just want to put performers up on stage. I invited people that were dancers, that were singers, that were poets, and also I invited people that were facilitators, that were anti-racism facilitators. And so the night ended up being a smorgasbord of performances, of interactive dancing, and of a workshop, essentially. So the audience was encouraged to like get up and write stuff on Post-it notes about what they envision a dope community being, and they would like stick it on the wall, and people were moving around, and people were dancing and talking with each other, and there were small group activities, and it was like, I personally have never seen an event like that before, or been part of it before. So I just I wanted to just create something different than what we've seen. Like, it's not just that we are here for singing and dancing, like that's very important, but we're also here to talk, to communicate, to challenge, create some new things, again with the emphasis of like I remember this started because of that show. I was hammering. I was like, I want all wording to say like, we are celebrating the genius that is in Hartford, because I invited folks from Hartford, from Bridgeport, and New Haven.
Right.
Places where sometimes people typically aren't like, oh yeah, geniuses live there. Like, no, geniuses are here, and you're gonna see them because they're gonna be up on stage killing it.
As of right now, how within Connecticut, how you say a lot of people say Connecticut does support Connecticut. Just what I've witnessed, just interviewing a whole bunch of musicians and artists like yourself, do you believe there's more unity now that you see in Connecticut, just without everything that is art, dealing with big paintings and everything for to entertain the people?
I think so. I think there's more unity because we are being vocal about it in a way that isn't just nobody supports me. I think we're also being vocal about it in terms of like, this is how you can support me, like unabashedly. And unfortunately, some of that may have come because of the pandemic. Like now I'm in a corner, and I'm painting myself into a corner. Sorry, corny. Uh but unfortunately, being in a situation like that, you may have had to ask for help that you felt either too ashamed to before, or you felt too proud to before. Um, but sometimes it's hard for people to know how to help you if you're not telling them how. Um, and also, because we have this time to be home, I think this is a hypothesis, but I think that also that meant that there was more relationship building that may not have been there before. I think the reason that I'm doing pretty all right is that I have relationships with people. It's not just that I'm looking for people to like repost my stuff from Instagram or to just share my poetry. It's also like, I want to talk to you. I want you to talk to me. I want to be in conversation with you. Everything is relationships. Every opportunity is relationships. And similar to, again, that idea of, oh, I'm doing it by myself. It's like, that's not true. You are going to be successful through relationships. And there's a lot of like privilege also that plays into that. Like when people go to like Ivy League schools and stuff like that, it's like the association to a name. It's the association to certain people that get them in through certain doors. But even then, it still emphasizes like, that's relationships. Those are relationships. So I think that might be why I personally have seen it kind of get better in terms of artists getting the support and the help that they need. Before 2020, I saw some of it, but I haven't seen it as much as it is like grown this past year for sure. More organizations are sort of, I ain't gonna name any of them, but more organizations I think are stepping up in order to support artists, because it's like, you need us. You need us. There's this what's the song by it's not even a song, but I always reference it and I always go back to it. This is one of those things that gives me that.
But I got to reference that, Zuli. We're on WHLP 103.5 FM. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, EZ Bluez is in the building. That's a little great diagram Harry posted right here on the New Haven Independent Facebook with Zulynette's photograph. That's the guest we have today. And she's thinking of a song. What song are you thinking about, Zulynette? What song?
I always swap the title around, but it's by Immortal Technique. It's not a song. It's just him kind of talking. I think it's called The Message and the Money. It's either The Message and the Money or The Money and the Message. It's definitely one of those. But yeah, he just essentially goes off of, he's essentially talking about paying artists. And he's talking about, I shouldn't find out that you're not trying to pay me, but you are paying your light bill. I shouldn't find out that you're charging at the door, but you're not trying to pay me. And and also mentioning in there, like, I don't mind doing something for free for the community. But if this is your way of like exploiting me, like, we're gonna have a problem. And again, like, I also see more artists standing up for themselves.
That's right. Really good.
Than ever before. So yeah, all of us talking our smack is doing good.
Promoters are like a double-edged sword. I remember, Ize, I'm gonna let you finish. I hate to cut you off, but it just reminds me of the story with you and me, and you were talking to me about how these promoters can be a double-edged sword, going back and forth, and every time where you were getting tired, going back and forth, getting your name out there, man. You just had that one promoter just wasn't treated right. And he was
Mm.
giving at least not even 50%. You were telling me he was giving you 30% when you were giving your whole 110.
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you continue and just piggyback off what I
Well,
Before
before we get into the not the bad side of that, I'll actually name drop an organization that takes that's taking care of their artists and looking out for all those local and all those independent artists out there. Make sure this Friday you go to BandCamp, you find your favorite independent artist, and you buy stuff from them. BandCamp, the first Friday of every month, they waive the fees that are charged to artists for using their and the 100% of that money then goes to the artists. So, like for example, another name drop. If you go and you want to say, I want to get Fall the Mountain King by Shane Penguin, you go there and you pay the $1, and we get the whole $1. It's amazing. So that's first and foremost the one thing that I want to talk. But yeah, I mean, even I wouldn't even talk about the promoter that was paying ridiculously too little. What I will talk about though is, like, for example, streaming services. Streaming has become so easy for us now. I mean, I went from having, I'll say, 400 to 10,000 CDs to having my iPhone that has everything I need on there. But like, for example, I used to be a Spotify person. I used to listen to Spotify all the time. I paid my membership fees for Spotify. As a musician, it was my goal to crack Spotify. This is, you've made it. I just got 100,000 Spotify streams. It's going to be amazing. And the reality is I got like $6.14. But I took Spotify off my phone. I listen to Tidal. I now listen to Apple Music. BandCamp has their own streaming app service as well. I'm not sure what the dollars and cents is there, but it at least allows you the opportunity to buy the music. And the lion's share of the money, even when they take out their very small fees, the lion's share of the money goes to the artist. And that is so, so important. And yes, you have to know your worth. One of the things that the only caveat that I put on when you were talking about the people giving you the 1,600 and all that, is the thing that I've learned is to ask what what is in their budget, and let's see what your budget matches to what I can do for you. And this way, it then looks like you're hooking them up, and they feel like they've accomplished something. Because it's a constant give or take. It, like, when negotiating, it's a tug of war, and it's just a matter of who's gonna get on. And I hate to look at it like that. I hate to say it like that, but being someone who came up through business and then is making an art out of business, I understand a little more. I mean, before this, I was actually listening to P.T. Barnum's autobiography because, I mean, I relate. Yeah.
I was smiling hard because episode 48 of the Creative Alchemist is, do you have a budget?
And I actually want to apologize because I've listened to your podcast and not put 2 and 7 together and realize it was you.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So, like, my bad.
I?
That's awesome. Like, you said it, I was like, oh, I listened to that podcast. Oh, man. That's so embarrassed.
All good. All is forgiven. But yeah, it was because, right, the $1,500 story was back in 2016. So it's like I had to learn some of these things along the way. I had to be open to, I am mad uncomfortable talking with anybody about their budget, but I have to ask. Or I don't know what goes into a contract that's going to protect me as an artist, or is going to protect my work and its copyrights. So, like, how do I learn about that? I don't know these things. And so eventually down the line, you got to be patient with yourself, but also you have to put your foot to your own butt to be like, I have to do what is best for myself and what is best for my craft. So I have to learn these things. No, I'm not a business major. No, I don't have degrees in business. But if this is what you want to do for work, which is also why I don't recommend everybody just leave their job and follow their passion, it's not for everybody. But if this is the path that you have taken, you need to open yourself up to some learning, some things that you thought you wouldn't have to before. Taxes, negotiation, contracts, what happens when a contract is broken. talking about rest and respecting your own time and boundaries, which we also don't talk about very often. Like, how do you handle all of those things? It is the business side of it, but also the business side of it will creative part of it. If you know that you're working within your contract, if you know you're working within your boundaries, that's going to do nothing but, again, be better for your art. If you are protecting it as best as you can, it is better for your art, for your craft.
Experience has been your best teacher.
Oh, it has. Really has. Experience has been my best teacher. Black femmes have also been my best teachers. The person that I mentioned in the story, Flo, they are a Black femme. I would actually say the message around you're undervaluing yourself, could you please charge more, has come more from Black femmes than anybody else. And so when I am now putting on a show or something, who am I pulling in? Yeah, I'm pulling in the people that need the representation, that deserve the representation, that are the geniuses that I know, and that are unfortunately underserved. So like, who needs the most help is like Black femmes and Black trans femmes. And so when I have the opportunity, these are the people that I'm gonna uplift the most. So yeah.
I'm really happy that you're using your platform to give those artists those spotlight, because there's people that I know in Connecticut will not really do it. They're very egotistical. They're very themselves in a very selfish way. So it's very rare. I've heard of many people doing what you're doing, using their platform for good, but just people witnessing it and saying it like you are live on air now is definitely a blessing. Tell me about those feelings you had, because I heard great things about an event you had back in 2018. It was called Peace in Puerto Rico. It was in Peabody Museum right here in New Haven, Connecticut. Tell me about the minds you inspired. You've got about 6 minutes left of this broadcast.
Peace to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
At the Peabody?
Peabody. I'm reading it
was
right
it the
now.
Slam?
I believe it was the Slam. It was the third floor Peabody Museum. Brian Slattery actually did the article for New Haven Independent on you.
Oh, yeah. So that was at a Slam. So that was, yeah, I wrote that piece. Oh my goodness. I wrote that piece. Also, I want to say really quickly about like me supporting people now. Like, I did not start like that either. I want to own that I was a very crappy person at the beginning, like everybody else. I was like, I got to look out for myself. I can't spread this wealth to nobody. I have to look out for my own. I'm going to lose money, blah, blah, blah. I was there as well. So I hear you if that's where you still are.
High five your honesty.
Thank you.
All right.
Food.
Yeah. Ooh, shiny.
Thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to own that real quick too. Like, it always seems like somebody has it down perfectly when they're sharing the good news and the good advice and stuff like that. And it's like, no, I want you to know, like, I'm still working on it. And also, I wasn't always here. So we're gonna own that. That particular performance at the Peabody Museum was super challenging for me. It felt great after it was done. But also it was challenging because it happened shortly after Hurricane Maria happened. And the poem that I shared was based off of that.
Yeah,
and I wrote the piece because, I mean, it's Puerto Rico. I am Puerto Rican, for folks that don't know. And my parents were out there. I have family out there, and my parents were out there vacationing when Hurricane Maria happened. They were stuck there for so that it was traumatizing. So so I wrote the piece and I shared it for the first time publicly at the Slam. And there's a lot of mixed feelings around that, because sometimes it also feels very exploitative. Like, I'm exploiting my own trauma to like win something. It was like, I need to get this off my chest. I don't feel like people are talking about it enough. So I'm going to keep talking about it, because the repercussions are real. And also the deaths that happened, many of those could have been prevented. And that's really the ickiest part of it all. So it just felt, there was a mix of things. I felt sad, I felt angry, I felt proud that I was able to perform it. That feeling of that getting swept up in emotion and getting swallowed up by the poem is also indescribable. To be in that zone. So I also felt proud. I felt proud that I was speaking up on behalf of other folks that may literally not be around because of something that could have been prevented. So, but yeah, that's what happened. That's what that was. I didn't get third, second, or first place, but it was like that wasn't even that was for at least that particular year. I'll say it didn't matter. Then the year afterwards, it mattered.
That's when it mattered. Your statement was more important than your placing.
Yeah, for sure.
Zulynette, we got about 2 minutes left of the broadcast. The rest of the time is going to be up is for you. Please tell us what upcoming stuff you have with this year, and also please plug everything doing with your social media. Time is yours.
I always forget to write these things down because I know I'm going to be asked at the end. Anyways, okay. Everything is homed at Zulynette.com. I am looking for subscribers this year because I'm looking for stability, and I'm looking for sustainability, So, so you can, if you want to support the things that I do, you can listen to The Creative Alchemist and become a monthly subscriber. You can also become a patron on Patreon, where I give you first access to stuff. I also give you stuff that doesn't make it anywhere else on social media, whether it's artwork or poetry or some of the tidbits and advice that sometimes makes it to the podcast. You could become, again, a monthly supporter on there. You can also go to Buy Me a Coffee and just buy me a coffee. And that could be important. That could be a one-off, or you can also become a monthly subscriber through Buy Me a Coffee as well. So all these different ways that you can support what it is that I'm doing, which helps me to support other people. Also, you can appropriately, respectfully stalk me on Instagram. That's the platform that I'm on the most. My handle on Instagram is @the_Zulynette. Zulynette is spelled ZULYNETTE. And no, you cannot give me a nickname. My name is Zulynette, and you may call me that.
Zulynette, thanks for being part of Behind the Brand. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Worth anything or just a discount? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, we more focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the blue eyes let this last.
I don't know if you're this painted blue. I don't know that's really you. I wanna go outside. I wanna go outside.